current criminal justice system has no provision for restorative justice, in which an offender confronts the damage they have done and tries to make it right for the people they have harmed. Instead, our system of corrections is about arm's length revenge, retribution, all day and all night. Good evening, folks. We will not be discussing restorative justice tonight. My point in getting that across to all of y'all is that restorative justice, yes, they're trying to do it in different states and all of that, but to make a long story short, what can these evil, diabolical murders do to give back for what they've taken from these victims' family members? What can they do? In my view, you can't do it. You can't find a way after you've murdered somebody, whether it was for sex or money or whatever the hell it was. There's just no way to make it right. And so the justice system kicks in. People get sent off to prison. And as I've told y'all time and time again, man's law, man's punishments can be very, very cruel. How about equal? Can man's punishments equal what that person did to get there in the first place? Well, how about this? Let's just roll back a little history here. I think some of you rays are, it's going to just click, click, click. I'm going to roll it back a little bit, and we're going to remember this. Remember? This case didn't start as a criminal case. It started as a report of 2 missing children who are still missing, Woods said, detailing 3 mysterious deaths, Daybell's sudden move to Hawaii, and her alleged efforts to convince a friend to lie to police about the whereabouts of the children. Quote, since this last summer, there has been an alarming pattern in the defendant's life, unquote. Daybell's attorney, Edwina L. Cox, told the judge that the $5 million bond initially set by a Hawaii judge before her extradition was excessively high. A recent murder case in the same area of Idaho only had a bond of $1 million. A bond set this high denies Lori due process, Elcox told the judge, suggesting the high amount was a reaction to the large amount of news coverage the case had generated. Child desertion charges are so rare in Idaho that she had never seen a case in a decade of practicing law. It is abundantly clear the prosecutor just needed to find a charge to fit this case because of all the media attention in this matter. The judge agreed that the bond should be reduced, but also said he wanted Daybell closely monitored. If she posts bail, she'll have to wear a GPS tracking ankle bracelet, stay within the region, and maintain regular contact with her attorneys. He set a preliminary hearing for March the 18th. Do y'all remember that? And do you remember Chad Daybell going to his neighbors over there asking for them to put up their house? He was trying to raise the money to get that damn hooker, that freaking evil, diabolical woman, out of jail after there was just an abundance of evidence showing she was nothing more than a freaking court runner. She would jump bail. She would do it, y'all. But if he would have raised that bail money, where would she be today? And with that being said, she's now in Arizona. And there ain't no damn bond hearings or nothing like that because her ass is a convicted serial killer coming out of Idaho. We ain't got to worry about the hussy, do we? But the latest news about Donna Adelson is that she wants out on bond. But this is a little different. And maybe some of y'all have already heard the news, and maybe you know what it is that I am going to discuss with y'all, Justice Through Understanding, in that she is going to have an author hearing. And the most interesting aspect of it is only given to people in Florida. There's not other states that have an author hearing. What is the difference between an author hearing and a bond hearing? An author hearing is a bond hearing in Florida that takes place when someone is accused of a non-bondable crime. It's also known as a bond hearing as well, but it's called an author hearing. And we'll go into aspects of that here shortly, but let's just get to the news right now. Donna Adelson, alleging she had been physically abused and extorted by the Leon County Detention Facility, is asking to be released on bond pending her trial on charges that she helped orchestrate the murder of Dan Markell. In a motion filed Friday, Adelson's lawyer said that the 75-year-old is suffering from a variety of medical issues, from shortness of breath to pain from injuries she suffered during an attack by another inmate who had been extorting her. And let's just keep in mind, these allegations that she's levying happened in October, November of last year. Why is it coming out now? Why is she being put in protective custody now? Of all the other times. Y'all, I didn't have a clue, but now it's kind of sinking into me that they wanted to set all this up, put her in protective custody, listen to her allegations and all of that to set it up so that she could do what? Have her author hearing. And folks, the interesting thing about an author hearing is it's so much more than what we recall in the Hussey's bond hearing or any other bond hearing that you didn't get to see in Florida, actually. If you've seen an author hearing, then you know what I'm talking about. But in a motion filed Friday, Adelson's lawyer said that the 75-year-old is suffering from a variety of medical issues, as I've said. Her attorneys, Josh Zellman and Jackie Fulford of Tallahassee, wrote that she has experienced other instances of abuse in the jail, that she's getting only a couple of hours of sleep each night, and that she hasn't been able to converse with her lawyers because of jail noise and hearing issues. They said the conditions will result in her inability to receive a fair trial. Her health is failing, the defense motion says. She is in constant pain, and I want to break this down. What the hell? What about Dan Markell's family? They're in pain right now. They've been in pain since their son was brutally murdered. But let's move forward. She cannot hear normal discussions, and she's not receiving a fraction of the amount of sleep necessary to assist in her defense. How much sleep has Dan Markell's mother, Ruth Markell, had since his murder, or the rest of the family? Meanwhile, her lawyers filed a separate motion seeking to block potential bombshell evidence in the case, namely a jailhouse phone call with her son, Charlie Adelson, on November 7th of 2023, the day after he was convicted of first-degree murder, conspiracy, and solicitation in the contract killing. So they're trying to do what they're going to do. They're going to give her a robust defense. But y'all can watch, well, actually hear, because you can't see them. But here, you can go on YouTube and you can hear the actual phone call. And this is what they are trying to keep out of the trial. In that phone call, Donna Adelson, still a free woman at that point, talked about possibly killing herself or fleeing overseas. Less than a week later, she was arrested on murder charges while trying to board a flight out of Miami with her husband, Harvey Adelson, and a one-way ticket to Vietnam. And Hope Grace had brought up in the comments before this live stream started the point that it's interesting, because she was thinking along the lines that I was, that Lori Vallow actually was, she could have bonded out if they would have raised the money. And all this time, it's been over a year and 3.5, maybe 4 months. Donna's been sitting in jail, but now she's saying that, because of all this stuff that happened the end of last year, that she needs to be out. Can y'all imagine that? If she gets let out, she at least gets a couple of months in that freaking high rise. I think Harvey's in Texas, perhaps. He might still be down there in Miami, but they got money out the yin yang, and she's going to have the lap of luxury at 75 years of age. Would she run? Right? Adelson's lawyers in their motion to set bond asked for an author hearing in which the defense and the state would argue over whether she should be released pending trial, which is set to begin June the 3rd. Her lawyers wrote that she does not pose a risk of harm to the community and that she's not a flight risk. Quote, Mrs. Adelson has no passport and has been placed on a no-flight list and thus cannot schedule a flight bound for any domestic or foreign destination. Her husband is 80 years old and would relocate to live with Miss Adelson in Tallahassee, Florida, from release through the trial. Leon Circuit Judge Stephen Everett set a court date for February the 27th, and OKJ wants to watch this Arthur hearing, and you'll understand why I think it's going to be fascinating. Setting aside 3 hours to hear the defense motions and hold an Arthur hearing. Think about that, 3 hours. He has set that time. Not that it's going to run that long, but it's going to run a little while, y'all, and you'll see why. Some of you already know why, but some may not. And it's going to be rather telling. I mean, this is not going to be like a preliminary hearing. It's going to be narrowly focused on specific details of what the judge has to consider in order to give her bond. Last week, the Leon County Sheriff's Office confirmed that Donna Adelson was moved into protective custody at the jail after she complained she had been grabbed by another inmate. Her lawyers wrote that before she was moved, she was being held in a pod with 60 other inmates. Now, they said, she'll serve her time in solitary confinement until the trial begins with no access to other friendly inmates or art classes that she's been taking, y'all. Just as we talked about when we discussed that news about her being put in protective custody. She's not going to get to do her art, y'all. She's not going to be able to sit in the classroom with other inmates, overhear what they're saying, snitch them out, try to use them as in her defense because she's desperate as hell. You know what I'm talking about. And by the way, Opie's in the background playing around, so if you hear a bunch of rattling and noise and all that stuff, he's over here playing, so you know how it is here in KJ's household. According to her lawyers, Adelson has been physically abused and threatened with abuse throughout her 14-month incarceration at the jail. One of the first acts of abuse happened in the shower where she was touched. Y'all, she was touched on her back by another inmate. Oh my gosh. She was touched, y'all. It wasn't like she was grabbed. She was not throttled. She wasn't bent over. She wasn't punched. She was touched in the back in the shower, y'all. How that could be considered abuse, I don't know. I mean, come on. The most recent incident happened when an inmate slammed into her from behind and knocked her into the frame of her bed. Well, I'll tell you what. Could you imagine that, Donna Adelson? If this, let's just for sake of argument, Donna Adelson was slammed into her bed and all that. Folks, the woman is a freaking murderer in my view. She thought her money could get Dan Markell out of her daughter's life, and Wendy could bring the kids to Miami. It was like his life did not matter at all as long as Donna got her way. She had the money and she could do it, right? How disgusting. The most severe and frightening incident happened around October 7th of 2024, y'all, when an inmate yanked her arm from behind while she was brushing her teeth. An inmate grabbed her arm. It was so frightening. It was so scary. What about Dan Markell? Some freaking damn hitman walks up to him while he's pulling into his own damn garage and blowing his damn brains out. The inmate demanded she start ordering canteen items for her on a weekly basis or face physical harm, the defense motion says. And y'all, that could have very well happened, or it could have been something that didn't happen. Probably happened, but who knows? The bottom line is she absolutely knew about this since October, and now they're going to pull this card out that, November, December, January, February, 4 months later, we put her in protective custody, and but we're going to tell you what happened here. Afraid for her life, Miss Adelson began telling her husband to order the packages each week, her lawyers wrote. She never told her husband why, and he just assumed Mrs. Adelson wanted the food for herself because the meals provided by the Leon County Detention Center are so disgusting. Her lawyer added that she orders her own canteen items in one package and that her husband orders 2 others for the inmate who is extorting her. She keeps the additional canteen items in the area of her bunk bed, and either the aggressive inmate comes to get the items herself or sends someone else to get items as she wants. Well, I'll tell you what, this woman paid freaking contract killers to kill her son-in-law. She knows how to delve out the cash. She knows how to get her way. And she probably, y'all, this is just my opinion, she probably thought she could flash her money and do all that stuff. And then when she started snitching on everybody, the shit hit the fan. The shit hit the fan. Moonlight View says, we are grateful to not be Donna. Natasha Penland says, give it to her, KJ. Send her to El Salvador, and when she comes back, she won't complain about U.S. jails anymore, or Siberia, says. She's in protective custody, can you, Jam? She's in protective custody, and if you've listened to those damn jail phone calls from Donna and Charlie, Charlie talks about how he's in this suicide room or whatever, and I don't know if it's the same way, but it could be, where when you go to look out the door, all you see is a reflection of yourself. Is that not proper punishment for that damn asshole? When he goes to look out the door, all he sees, he has to stare at the freaking killer he was. He had so much hubris. Oh my gosh. Gosh. But what is an author here? And y'all, in the Rays, y'all know, we're going to cover the hussy. We're going to cover Donna Adelson. And I'm looking forward to this author hearing. The purpose of this here now. Come on now. You don't know what an author hearing is? Here's a good time to get a little justice through understanding, okay? To determine if the defendant should be released on bail while awaiting trial. That's common sense. And to decide if the defendant is a danger to the community. And here's the process of it, y'all. Those are 2 things that the judge is going to have to ascertain. Do y'all think a 75-year-old woman is a danger to the community? Is she going to get with Harvey and go out and take more money and what? Hire someone to kill someone else? She ain't going to do any of the dirty work. I don't see that she would be a danger to the community. But when you consider who and what she is and how she did things, trying to wall herself off, when the definition of murder in Florida sums her up to a T. But the process is the defense presents arguments to prove that the defendant should be released on bail, and the prosecution presents arguments to prove that the defendant should be not be released on bail, and then the judge, and the judge only, there's no jury or nothing like that, makes the decision, okay? Now, the only way that a person can get an author hearing in Florida is for non-bondable offenses, which are capital felonies such as murder, armed kidnapping, and armed drug trafficking, offenses punishable by life in prison. When can an author hearing be requested? A criminal defense attorney can file a motion for an author hearing at any time after the arrest. And why are they doing it now? She's been in jail. What did they say? 18 months. Why is she doing it now? Is it because she's in protective custody? Because there's really a threat from these other women in jail? Well, I'll tell you what. These women that she's damn snitching on, that she wants to come and testify at her trial, she has let everyone know that she can't trust that these women wouldn't go back out here and do drugs, and yet she wants a jury to think these women are credible. This woman is desperate, y'all. And not to mention, can you imagine what these women who are sitting in jail, they're finding out this. Well, this Donna Adelson wanted to have me deposed so that, in case I couldn't come to court, because I'd be, she's sitting there snitching saying that I said that I was going to do drugs. Could you imagine? A judge's decision. If the judge agrees to release the defendant on bail, they are not limited to specific amounts or ranges. To be granted a bond for a non-bondable offense, the defense attorney has to prove to the judge the following. The charges placed. Now, this is more important, y'all, because earlier I said, the defense says this is the reason you should give her bond, and the prosecution says this is the reason you shouldn't. But here we are. We're going to go narrow now. The charges placed on the defendant do not have significant enough evidence to prove them guilty. So this is really actually the crux of the matter. If this judge gives her bail, and and I know she's going to post it. I mean, Harvey and her have got money out the ass. If it's $1 million, they'll post it, right? If he gives her bond, the judge, in some aspects, has to look at this. The charges placed on the defendant do not have significant enough evidence to prove them guilty. And then, of course, a no-brainer, y'all. The defendant does not pose a danger to society. And, y'all, as much as I loathe this woman, I don't believe she's a danger to society. She's a 75-year-old woman who doesn't know her ass from a hole in the ground in terms of being a fair-minded person. All she thinks about is herself and her money. But the important aspect is this. If he gives her bond, y'all, it can't be, he's so leaned forward on it that, she's just an old 75-year-old woman. He's got to keep in mind that this is going to look the way it's going to look if he gives her bond. Friends and family. Now, hear me out. Friends and family are encouraged to attend these mini trials. It's a mini trial, y'all, to help prove the two above factors to the judge. Who is going to come in defense of Donna Adelson to say whatever they say up there in the little author here and there that would convince a judge that the charges placed on Donna Adelson do not have are not significant enough evidence to prove them guilty? Y'all, that is the most important aspect of this author hearing, in my opinion. She told Charlie on a jail phone call she was either going to commit suicide or she was going to flee to another country. I wouldn't let her out. She could try to off herself or hire a private plane or boat. Right. I mean, people think because your passport's gone, you think this woman could not find someone to give her ass one of these fake ass passports? And, folks, she could get out. She could get out, and she would get out. Over and over and over in those jail phone calls, Charlie Adelson said to his mother, I should have went with my gut. I should have went with my gut. And that to me, y'all, translates, he waited around before they arrested him and charged him, thinking this, people were telling him, they ain't never going to arrest you and all this and that. That's what he meant by it. He should have fled. That's what he meant by that. I believe that. Shemal says, hearing KJ tell about this makes me wish I knew more, but we haven't been following Donna Adelson. Well, Shemal, you and Hemal could get caught up very quickly. All you have to do is read the Tallahassee Democrat, really. They've covered everything. A lot like East Idaho News and Justin Lum covered Chad and Lori there. You can get caught up very quickly. And from a framework of just the articles, you can branch out in whatever direction you want in order for you and Shemal to get justice through understanding. Folks, it's not just about the facts. It's not just about opinions. It's about hearing the facts and opinions, and it will lead you being the only you're ever going to be, into the direction of some kind of comprehension of whatever you want to get out of it. Or if you don't want to give shit about it, just go on, do whatever you're going to do. It don't make a difference. All I'm saying is those pathways open. And the Rays know. They remember when I first hit the freaking dang record button before I could even go live. And I was reaching out. And I wanted to know what all of you knew, so that you could help me, because I couldn't think of everything. And when your comments started to come into picture, you helped me tremendously. Hello, Rad Joe. Hello, Liza Joe. KCL. Hi, Beach Lady. Kathy Mama Bear, thank you so much. And by the way, be looking here within the week, Kathy Mama Bear. KJ has, I'm sending you something through the mail, okay? So there we go. Hi, Fortnite Pro 3170. How are you? Hope you're having a good evening. So this is really fascinating to me, y'all. Friends and families are encouraged to attend these mini trials to help prove the two above factors to the judge. Well, we know Wendy ain't going to come in there. I just don't believe it. I think she's going to stay as far away from it as possible. Harvey, perhaps. Friends of Donna Adelson, sure. I think people will come in to say stuff like, she's a good woman. She wouldn't run. We'll be here in Tallahassee with Harvey and her there to, help her through all this and all of that, yada, yada, yada. One thing to note is that you do not have to wait until the charges are formally filed to request an author hearing. And again, it's very suspicious to me that Dan Rashbaum, when he initially was supposed to represent her before Judge Everett took him off the case, why he didn't do that for Charlie or for her. That's very interesting. And then her new attorneys, that I believe, y'all, this is just an opinion, I believe Dan Rashbaum referred her to other people so she would feel at ease because she trusts Dan Rashbaum. Why they didn't do this right up front? Why? All they have to do is show the footage of her trying to get on a plane for Vietnam, owing her one-way ticket. Good point, Kathy Mama Bear. Because on the flip side of that, the prosecution will absolutely make that front and center. They're going to make sure, the judge already knows, but they're going to have to present everything to rebut this whole idea of her getting out on bond. Long story short, it's going to last at least 3 hours. And it's we'll see, from the end of February, it's March, April, May, about 3 months of freedom that she could have. 3 months to go run away, or at least if she doesn't, she gets to have a nice, cushy time She can take her ass to a damn nice cuisine restaurant with her husband. She could go and have a freaking, well, she was talking to Charlie about how she wanted to have one of those big garden tubs with the freaking damn jets in them and stuff. Go home. Enjoy it. If the bond is granted, then the person is released from jail until their criminal trial. One thing to note is that you do not have to wait until the charges are formally filed to request an author hearing, which is what I've already said. The waiting time for charges to be formally filed can range from 20 to 40 days to be granted a bond. However, in the state of Florida, you can request an author hearing anytime after the arrest. An author hearing in Florida is set to see if the defendant is eligible to be granted bond. During the hearing itself, there are two distinct phases. Phase 1 and Phase 2. During Phase 1, there is a mini trial held. Instead of a full jury, there's only one judge present. And during this phase, the judge has to listen to and consider the testimony of the defendant. Think about that. Donna Adelson at our author hearing here on February the 23rd, she's going to testify, y'all. She's going to testify at her author hearing. Isn't that going to be interesting? Do you think her hubris and her freaking snotty ass ways are going to come out of that when the prosecution gets a hold of her? Is she going to get all holier than thou and, nose up and acting like a damn idiot? Such things for the court to consider include the defendant's prior record, and Donna Adelson has no prior record, and neither did the freaking hooker. Lori didn't have a prior record, although she wants to cite for her self-representation that she's been in plenty of court stuff. Yeah, she's damn been going to court in the past to try to take Joe Ryan's rights away as a father to Tylee. She knows how to play it, and Donna Adelson will definitely know. The prosecution has the burden of proof, meaning they have to show there is no question of the defendant's guilt. Again, y'all, it can't just be in this author hearing about whether she'll flee or whether she's a danger to the public. Y'all, this really comes down to if Judge Everett lets her out on bond, it's going to look good on her. And so we'll just have to wait and see how that goes. Meaning they have to show there is no question of the defendant's guilt. Again, let me repeat that. The prosecution has the burden of proof, meaning they have to show there is no question of the defendant's guilt. The prosecutor has to prove the crime was committed by a showing of a great presumption. A great presumption. So think about that. At this author hearing, Georgia Kappelman has got to get up there and she's got to let the judge know, Judge, here it is, and this is a great presumption. And the defense is, on the other hand, is going to say, she doesn't have a criminal record, and these are the reasons why we don't think she's guilty or that there isn't enough evidence to keep her in jail. So during phase 2, it has to be decided where a discretionary bond is appropriate. Such things for the court to consider include the defendant's prior record, the seriousness of the crime, and whether or not the defendant poses a flight risk or danger to society. Y'all, the prosecution is going to they are going to make sure to let Everett know she is a flight risk. They can say all they want. She doesn't have her passport, but she will disappear. If the judge believes the defendant is deserving of release from custody, he or she will set the bond amount. It is entirely in their discretion how much the bond will cost, and it is important to note that there is no restriction to the amount of the bond when it comes to capital felonies. In other words, this judge, if he decides to give her a bond, he could give her a $5 million bond, $1 million bond. Do you think she's not going to come up with it? You damn Skippy she's going to come up with it because they've got money out the ass. And the state can say because they have money out the ass, her ass would disappear. With the help of a defense attorney, the bond amount issued by the judge may be able to be reduced. And I don't think that would be the case if Judge Everett decided to give her a bond. I don't think the defense could sit there and say, Judge, she can't afford it. There are plenty of benefits of getting released on bond. For one, you won't be stuck in a jail cell. You have the ability to work directly with your defense attorney rather than waiting for news behind bars. Working closely with your attorney can benefit your case by figuring out early the best possible defenses and preparations for the courtroom together. And what is her defense? What is her reasoning for everything? The money, they've got evidence. I'm just looking at Charlie Adelson's trial. I don't know what more they've got on Donna Adelson, but if you just took the evidence that they presented to a jury in Charlie Adelson's trial, there was testimony from Catherine McBanawal. Interesting, is it not? The same women in jail with her were saying that Catherine McBanawal said it was all set up. Anything to thwart the state's main witness, Catherine McBanawal, that yes, there was wet, stapled money. That there was also a text message from Donna Adelson saying Harvey and them were on their way over there, i.e. to give Charlie the money. There should be other things, I'm sure. And then you look at the consciousness of guilt. I mean, who in the hell's going to have a one-way ticket to Vietnam, right? Kathy Mama Bear says laundered money, actual laundered money. Just Me says, I guess airfare was too much. Sorry that y'all are having to deal with the trolls. Nobody has a criminal record until they do, says Tina. That's true, Tina. I mean, just because someone doesn't have a criminal record doesn't mean they're not evil and diabolical. We learned that from the freaking hooker, did we not? I mean, just because you ain't got a criminal history does not mean that you ain't damn breaking the laws and just getting away with it. The traveling periodontist in Florida, says Liza Joe. So anyway, the phase 1 and phase 2, y'all. And then there's also the benefit of first impressions in the courtroom. Getting released on bond means you could show up to court, preferably in a suit or nice outfit, to show the judge and jury that you are a responsible adult. It is much better appearance than showing up in an orange jumpsuit, and that doesn't apply because whether she stays in jail, whether she gets out on bond, they're going to give her street clothes, just as they gave the hussy, the nasty-ass hooker who wore a freaking damn unicorn ponytail and hopped up and down in her chair like she was doing it, you know? I mean, disgusting. And let's just keep in mind, what the hell? What the hell is Lori going to wear at her freaking damn trial when she represents herself? That slut? While in custody, you will have to miss days from work and find arrangements for your possessions, family, pets, etc. Getting released on bond would mean getting back to your normal life until your court date, or being able to make arrangements in case you believe you will have to spend any time in jail. And none of that applies because Donna Adelson absolutely has Harvey. Harvey's taking care of everything, y'all. Harvey's taking care of everything. So yes, Donna Adelson will have an author hearing. They only happen in Florida. You can look that up. And it's going to be a mini trial, but again, it's not going to be like a preliminary hearing. They only have 2 issues. 2 issues that Judge Everett has to decide. Lohar will have to dig in the jail court clothes bin unless Janice and Summy bring her clothes, says Kathy. Well, I guarantee you, Kathy Mama Bear, Summy will make sure. Sammy will make sure that Lori has the black lacy top and the yoga pants and the boots with the spurs. She'll walk into that courtroom like a freaking lowercase G. Everybody's gonna love the low, in her mind, anyone. Everyone else will think that slimy, nasty woman. Just Me says, who's taking care of Harvey? Well, Harvey is 80 years old, and I imagine he's taking care of himself. I imagine he's probably feeling lost without his Donna because she was such the homemaker, organizer, and everything. But in some ways, he's probably doing okay. He's probably missing his wife and all that, and I am positive that the defense will have him come in for that author hearing. Just Me says, I thought he was suffering from dementia. I've never heard that. You're probably right. If you've heard it, I don't know. Moonlight View says, hooker clothes. And Travel of X says, I'm gonna laugh my butt off. Don't laugh your butt off, Trevor. What are you gonna sit on if you laugh it off? Think Dumbbell's daughter will bring her rubber bands for her braids, says I'm sure that old Chatty Boy's still putting money on the commissary there. I'm sure the Lolo is still making phone calls to him on death row. What a piece of shit. Oh, Shemal says she'll probably come in doing the pageant wave. Hello, I am Lori Daybell. I am a lowercase g, so all you bailiffs and all you security in here, y'all need to bow. Harvey probably has hired another domestic coordinator. Yeah, Kathy Barella. She's a lot younger. She's a little more, frisky. She probably makes sure to domestically coordinate Harvey every night. Slip him a few of those blue pills. Get him ready. Sit him on the couch. Hi, Philly. Jennifer Sukup, are you laughing at me? Are you laughing at me? Justice for Charles, justice for Brandon. Soon she will return to Idaho. I want her back. We have something waiting here for you. Oh, that sounds exciting there, Canyon Jam. Rad Joe says Harvey's probably enjoying being able to take a breath. You know what? That's an opinion, but I kind of embrace that, Rad Joe. I do. I think he's probably, but how about this, y'all? I don't know this for sure, but I know that they were popping Xanax and everything. I believe they were able to write out prescriptions for that. I wonder, though, if she was actually getting prescribed Xanax and she's able to still have it. If not, because I remember in her jail phone calls with Charlie's like, y'all need to take something and relax, because they were all popping the Xanax. I wonder if she's dang taking all that stuff. Well, I'm glad you're here, Philly. Is it a new cellmate, says Just Me? I don't know, y'all. But I will tell you this. We will absolutely cover this author hearing. I'm thinking that I might sit at my desktop like I did when we had to do the tweets with Lori's trial and everything. I'm thinking I might do that. And also post the link to her Arthur hearing on the 23rd. And as they're saying it, of course, you won't be able to see it, but you'll be able to hear it. So you can come back on the rewatch and listen to me react to what we're hearing, and just watch the whole Arthur hearing before getting with me. Because, or if you even want to. Donna deserves the justice that's coming for her. She's a very evil woman. Yes, Lisa. Make no mistake. The reason I decided to continue on with Donna Adelson was because of her whole mocking of wanting to take her grandchildren and put them in a Christian school just to piss Dan Markel off. Like religion didn't mean anything to her, and how she made fun of it. And even though OKJ's not per se religious, I am spiritual and I am a Christian. But the bottom line is that she is disgusting. She had so much hubris, y'all, to think she could get away with this. And it's interesting. If any of y'all, I challenge you to go type in on YouTube, Charlie Adelson's jail phone calls. Listen to hours and hours of them. You never once hear him say anything about the evidence of those secret recordings they did in that restaurant between him and Catherine McManawal. He's too busy bringing up Wendy's book and all the stuff that he thought the state was just putting on an act and all that. But he never wants to talk to his mother about the damning evidence of what he said in that restaurant. Yes, John, God is good. Kathy says, I find it amusing that Donna would do anything to get the grandchildren out of Tallahassee and now is willing to live there with Harvey. Kind of a sick amusement, but amusement nonetheless. Think about that. Harvey's willing to go to Tallahassee after Donna sat on jail phone calls with Charlie, basically mocking and trashing people of Tallahassee, calling them stupid and everything else. Well, if this judge does let her out on bond, she's going to be smack dab in Tallahassee, the place that she wanted to murder her son-in-law to get her daughter and grandkids down to Miami. That's just a great point, Kathy. Dan is the victim, for sure. He is the victim. And when we think about and let's just for sake of argument, everything that's happened to Donna while she's awaiting trial, while she sits in jail, if all this, she's got these terrible illnesses, she's been touched on her back, she was shoved into her bed and all that. Poor Donna, right? What about Dan Markel? What about Dan Markel's family? And the hurt, the pain that they have to endure for the rest of their days. Think about the hurt and pain of Charles Dallow's family, Brandon Boudreaux's family. We don't have to worry about the hussy getting out on bail, but the mere fact that she wants to represent herself is freaking dang. It's disgusting and it's wrong. Just Me says that Dan Markel's children have been robbed of a good father. Yeah, Wendy Adelson's in Texas with them. And I'll tell you what, it's a sad, sad thing that Ruth Markel and her husband there are not really able to have a good relationship with their grandchildren. What's left of Dan Markel are in those children. Those children were Dan Markel's legacy. And now their grandparents don't even get to be with them. And Dan's parents have to live without their son. It is unfair, Just Me. It is so unfair. And so when we're thinking about, and hey, everyone's innocent until proven guilty, y'all. We know that. And that's what the jury instructions will be to those jurors. But when you're talking to someone like me and to many of y'all, we've seen the evidence thus far, okay? The woman is guilty. She is guilty of being able to get her son on board, to hire these people. They used Catherine McManawal as the middle person for these two other hitmen. She tried to insulate herself from it. What were they doing in the years before Charlie Adelson, or even before the hitmen got arrested? There were phone calls where Donna Adelson's talking about buying this very expensive high-rise apartment with a freaking dang garden tub and how it was so beautiful. And Charlie's telling her on the phone, well, you should just go for it. You should enjoy life and all that. Knowing damn well both of them know that they absolutely hired someone to murder an innocent person. I think the minute Donna is convicted, Wendy will have cuffs on. I agree with that. I believe it's the domino effect. The two hit men, then they got Catherine McManawal. After Catherine McManawal, they got Charlie Adelson. And from Charlie, they, just as she said in one of the jail phone calls to Charlie, they're not done with our family yet. That's no truer statement that she could have ever said. And I'd hate it that Harvey and Wendy would get out of it. Perhaps if Donna gets convicted, they'll go straight to Wendy, possibly Harvey. There's no way, y'all, Harvey Adelson did not know that this had happened. They absolutely were talking about in the evidence that they were able to get a recording, but they saw Charlie, Harvey, and Donna sitting away at a picnic table, talking very seriously. They got pictures of that. What the hell were they talking about? Lisa Taglaboo says, I'm sorry, but Wendy is not innocent in this. I hate that she gets to live her life while Dan's parents were robbed of her son. Wendy has no soul. It's so sad, y'all. It's so sad. Well, Eduardo Alvarez Inglias, I'm sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. My husband is in Daytona right now. He's here down there in Daytona for Speed Week. He says it's in the late 70s down there. All it's done is rain down here. It's a muddy damn 40 to 50 degree mess down here in Tennessee. But down there, he's having the time of his damn life, and he's going to be gone for 2 weeks. He's going from there. He's going to go all the way. He's going up to Atlanta to go to the Atlanta races, and he's going to be gone 2 weeks. And poor Opie and me, which Opie is my dog, our family fur baby. We're here alone, but KJ has the 380, and I'm going to be just fine. I've got good neighbors. Hello, Jumping Penguin. I won't say what your name is because you're trying to make fun of me, ain't you? That's okay. It's okay. Rad Joe says it's hot right now in Florida. No, just me, I can't. Because believe it or not, we've got this big general contract and we've got jobs out the ass going on. I've got to be here to deal with all of that. I work out of the home. I've got so much I've got to do. I've got payroll. I got all these things that I got to deal with. I got to deal with architects. I got to deal with all these people. And it's just not going to go on hold because he's gone for 2 weeks. I've got to hold the fort down. But I would love, I'd jump into my freaking damn GR86, put Opie in his little thing there in the passenger seat, and we'd haul ass down to Florida if I could. Trevor Levesque says, my hubby and I used to go to the Daytona 500. He never misses it. And the Rays know. After 5 years, he's never here on Valentine's Day. Thus, OKJ, again, will emphasize that we will get together on Valentine's Day in the evening for all those that are going to be alone, especially the ones that don't have a sweetheart. I love you. I'm going to make sure to get with you. We'll have a few laughs together. You know we always try to get together. But has the verdict come in on Megan Boswell yet? Does anybody know? I know that they were out for deliberations, and I was just curious. No, they don't have one yet, just me. Does anybody want to talk about that briefly before I go? I listened to the prosecution and the defendant's closing statements. There's nothing that defense attorney could say to me to give me reasonable doubt. Megan Boswell absolutely murdered her precious little girl, and I hate it. But I will say this. I do not see Megan Boswell as evil as the hussy. In fact, in my whole, my whole thing about the crime genre community, any case I've ever looked at, the bottom line is she's the most evil, diabolical person, Lori Hussey Daybell, that I've will ever in my lifetime. But let's apply something. This author here, and it only goes on in Florida, but let's just for sake of argument, do you think that Melody Ferris would fare well in an author hearing? How about Laloni Simon? How about any of these people that you have been watching the trials for? Would they be able to prove to a judge that it was okay? Because the only way you can get an author hearing is if they've been accused of a serious crime, a non-bondable offense, such as murder and stuff like that. It's very interesting that after all this time, Donna Adelson wants to have this author hearing, and it just so happens that it's during the time that they put her in protective custody over bullshit allegations that happened last October. I mean, give me a break. Well, thank you, Canyon Jam. You know, it takes a good person to know a good person, and I appreciate that. That's very sweet of you. Thank you for the kind words. Trevor Levesque says no verdict. Y'all, how long does it take? I mean, they've got the evidence. They should have it by this evening sometime because they're sequestered. Oh, I will, Canyon Jam. He is adorable. He's been good since Daddy's been gone. So I hope the Rays and others will join me for that Arthur hearing. That's coming up on the 23rd. We're going to see. You want my prediction? Which, you know me, I'm not always right, but I don't think Judge Everett's going to let her out. I don't. I think the Georgia Cappleman will drive it home. She was ready to leave the country, and Judge Everett knows you don't have to have a passport to leave the country. And even though I've said that if Lori would have got out on bond a while back, I said that she would have disappeared. If she didn't go to another country, she'd have hide her ass here in the States, and that wouldn't last very long. John, thank you so much. I'm doing well. And if you are truly a police officer, God bless you, and I hope you stay safe out there. It will take the jury 2 days just to read the indictment, says Tina. You think? You think that's what's keeping them, Tina? When Donna Adelson was talking to Charlie, I mean, I forgot how long they weren't out that long. I think they were out like, a day or something. She said in one of her phone calls, they didn't deliberate. They just signed their paperwork. They made up their minds. Yeah, well, Tina, I think the jury isn't but because they haven't come back doesn't mean I think they're trying to say, well, there's a holdout or there's some questions that they don't understand or anything like that. For all we know, they wanted a good supper. Maybe they want another night in the hotel away from everyone. You know, they're vacay, Hi, Jet Set Jay. Plus the binder of all Megan's texts, says Kathy. Deliberation just started this afternoon, says Just Me. Yep. You know what? I want to take a moment to say something that has been on my mind for a while, but I want to say this. To all of you that have come on here and been here for a while, specifically the Rays and others, that have at least heard me out, even when I fall over myself, even when I stutter or whatever, the fact that you will listen, you don't have to agree, but the fact that you show respect and listen to what I'm trying to talk about It means so much to me that you would do that. It really, really is awesome that y'all care enough to hear me out. And it's a beautiful gift that y'all have given me, and it's a blessing, and I appreciate that. I was absolutely, when I was looking, online and looking at the latest news on Donna Adelson, and I was like, you know what? I've never heard of an author hearing. I've never seen one, and this lines up with what we've been talking about in terms of Donna Adelson and the fact that the hussy is not going to be able to have any kind of bond hearing. The fact that she has to sit in jail. It's just very interesting, is it not? Oh, I love you. I love you too, Moonlight View, Beach Lady, Just Me. Y'all are good people. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for y'all. I really do the best I know how to get a little justice through understanding. Sometimes it's just us talking, and it just, it touches my heart. It really does, that y'all would take the time out of your life to come on here. Thank you so much. I love you too, Radjo. I love all of y'all. Always have and always will, no matter what. So anyway, I hope all of y'all have a great evening. Kathy, Mama Bear, thank you so much. Just Me, thank you so much for modding. Y'all are the best of the best. You always come through when you can, and it means so much to me. Kathy Barella, Philly, all of you, Jennifer Sukup, all of you. I love you. Have a good evening. Leave your comments, and keep on looking.